Are you a professional pillow fighter? Or a 9-to-5 low-cost time travel agent? Or maybe real estate sales on Mars is your profession? It doesn't matter. Whatever it is you do, however complex or intricate, Monday.com can help you organize, orchestrate, and make it more efficient. Monday.com is the one centralized platform for everything work-related. And with Monday.com, work is just easier. Monday.com, for whatever you run. Go to Monday.com to learn more.
Well, I don't see the point in waiting any longer, so let's bring her out. The star attraction, the one you came to see. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Miss Judy Gold.
When do you get to quit your job?
I guess since I was living with my parents, I had no rent, so I only had to pay for, and they paid for my health insurance, Kaiser, which was reasonable back then.
Right.
And I had to pay for my car payment.
How old are you at this point?
22, 23.
Right.
So
okay.
I could probably quit telemarketing around 22, 23, 24.
Right.
And I was just doing one-nighters and featuring on the roads.
And this is all on the West Coast?
Mostly West Coast. I did drive out to Chicago because my grandpa lived there,
Right.
and I would work all the MC gigs in Chicago,
Right.
making like $300 a week, but
Right.
in a month it was like $1,200.
Right.
And
And
then I would
that
drive
was-
back. Yeah, and that was like huge money.
Because the MCs made 300 and the middles made like 700 or 800.
yeah,
6
and
to 800.
I wasn't able to middle yet,
Yeah.
or I wasn't allowed to.
Right.
But they'll.
Yeah, well, your vagina. So, okay, how do you get to New York?
I did Montreal. I did New Faces in
Right.
98, 99.
Okay.
So I was about 15 years. Wait, no, I started in 87. So maybe 10 or 11 years in, I did New
Right.
Faces. And do you remember Renee Glicker?
Yes.
Yes.
What happened to her?
I don't know. I think she exclusively represents soap opera artists, but she started out as a waitress at the comic strip, and she
That's
started
right.
an agency.
Right.
And she saw me in Montreal. She said, "Hey, you should move to New York." And that was absolutely all it took. And I went.
You're just waiting.
Yeah, I was just waiting for something. And when I came here for a visit, I stayed with my friend Ray James. He had a giant loft condo in Williamsburg that he did not know the gold mine he was sitting on.
Of
Obviously.
course. How could he?
I think he told me he paid like $600 a month, and it was half of a loft, and it was gigantic.
Right.
And even then, I was like, "That's a lot," but you just okay.
Yeah, when I first moved here, Williamsburg was shady. It was like dangerous. There were dangerous
Is
areas.
this
There were
her?
a lot of lights.
Is that Renee?
I don't know.
I don't think so. It looks probably
fuck.
a client of hers.
No, that's Susan Berger. Okay.
Anyway, so Renee
well, did
suggested
you?
it. I came down
Okay, go ahead.
and kind of had to start over again.
Renee Glicker. I can't believe
With my credit of Lifetime's Girls Night Out.
Oh, right.
A&E's Comedy
So
on the
you
Road.
missed the whole evening at the Improv.
I did Comedy on the Road, but I didn't do Evening at the Improv.
89, 90, 91.
I was a little bit too young.
Yeah,
to
so
get
that
or
was
not good enough.
Yeah, that was evening. No,
Evening at the Improv.
fuck. Evening at the Improv.
Caroline's Comedy Hour.
Caroline's Comedy Hour,
Yeah.
and then it was VH1.
Yeah.
And MTV and all that shit.
Yeah.
You know, VH1 stand up. Do you ever do the one with
I
Rosie?
didn't do that one.
Okay.
I didn't do MTV's Half Hour Comedy Hour, and I'm still bitter about that. She came to
I never did that.
Lisa. What was her last name? Bartlett, maybe. Do you remember that name?
Oh yeah.
So maybe it wasn't Bartlett. I forget her last name. She took every comic in San Francisco but me. And I remember I was like on the maybe list, and I called her office, and she picked up the phone. This is MTV.
Right.
Like, this is a long time ago.
Right,
the
right.
executive picks up the phone, and she goes, "I'm sorry."
That was it?
Yeah, something like, "I'm sorry, it's not going to work out this time." And I was devastated.
You know what? People don't realize that, women in the comedy industry at
Yeah.
that time did not help women comics. A lot of them.
Probably, yeah.
Because they wanted the guy attention. A lot, you know what I mean?
Yes,
They wanted
I know.
to be the
There's
one girl.
That kind of female booker wants to
Yeah.
be the only female.
Yeah, in
there
the
was
room.
somebody I remember. I think the book, The Cleveland Improv, that was like that. That liked to be, that liked having the male comics of that week all over them.
Right.
And so, yeah, you wouldn't be doing that.
So you, Renee Glicker. Oh, all right.
know.
So how long? So you moved to New York, essentially.
Yeah.
And how long do you stay in
I
New
was here
York?
for 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
And you're working where?
Let's see. The comic strip was the first place to pass me.
Right.
Oh, no, Al Martin.
Oh,
At New
Al
York
Martin.
Comedy
Yes,
Club.
yes.
And so I worked in New York Comedy Club a lot. Both
Right.
rooms. I loved it. And I worked Randy Credico's. I barked for Randy Credico's room in the Village.
Right.
It was called the Monkey's Paw back then. I forgot. And I just climbed slowly,
Right.
and then I started working on Tough Crowd, and that
Right.
kind of elevated my status.
Yes. That was...
And that helped a lot.
Yeah, Tough Crowd was great. I loved doing Tough Crowd.
Yeah.
You did do a lot. You were a road comic.
Yeah,
like
before
you
that. Mhm.
Yeah.
Before I moved to New York. Yeah.
Which was... I did the road a lot, too, but... I ended up going to L.A. in the early 90s to do TV, and then I moved back, to have... I didn't want my kid growing up. I know that you feel the same way. You wanted your kid to grow up here.
Yeah.
You never know!
I know. Yeah.
And, I try to explain the road to younger comics now, and it's... I mean, I've done it a million times on this show about I still have PTSD. Like if I sit and think about, remember, did you ever do Comedy Trap in Buffalo and Niagara Falls?
No, I didn't.
And it was 14 fucking days because you would go, it was like a Tuesday through Sunday and then another Tuesday through Sunday.
Yeah.
So one day of travel, it was like 13 whatever day. And in the Niagara Falls one, you're just stuck. I mean, did you have a gun?
No, but I did buy a Chevy Blazer in 1990, back when those weren't that common, because I wanted to look like a guy when I was on the road.
Right.
When I was driving through Montana doing Wednesdays, I wanted people to assume that a guy was in
and
that car.
I heard had 500,000 miles on it when you...
Yeah, when I ended up, yeah.
And so... Yeah, I realized when I went to... Did you ever do any rooms in Vegas at the time?
I did. I did Catch in Vegas.
Me too.
Yeah, with Winston.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, nice lady.
You know what she did?
What?
This is my first thing in Vegas. And
she was cool to female comics.
Yes, she was great. And they did 24 feet of comedy, and it was all tall female comics.
Oh, who else?
What's her name? Becky
Pedigo?
Yes. Tall, black, skinny, really nice. Bernadette Luckett.
Bernadette Luckett. Yeah.
And I forgot who the other one was.
That's great.
And my parents came.
That's
awesome. But that's how they did. Like any woman, you were never with another woman. You were never on the road in a show with another woman.
Yeah.
And that she really
that really burns itself on your brain.
Right.
And just working in a super guy field really changes how you
and these are guys
interact.
without filters.
Yeah, and guys without empathy.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, which makes them
or morals or values or ethics.
But makes them good comics in a way. They're very compelling, but off stage they don't notice they're sucking up all the oxygen, and they just don't notice a lot of shit.
Right.
And you just learn to
guys.
bend yourself around them because you're never the dominant comic. You're always the feature, hoping to get booked back or whatever.
Well, who were the guys that helped you? Like, I remember I was working Catch a Rising Star Princeton, and I was opening for the amazing Jonathan.
I loved him.
Love. And he said to me, "You're really funny. If you want a headline, do something that no one can follow." Mm-hmm. And I started doing and I am telling you I'm not going, that I did on my HBO special.
Yeah.
And no one could follow. And I started headlining. But he was great. There were some guys like Colin and that were really fucking great. Like who were your like mentor, helped you out, got you work?
I think Feldman was helpful.
Yes, David. Yes,
just in
of course.
saying nice things and saying, "Hey, if you tweak this little bit," like I was getting a little shouty, I guess, and he said, "If you lower the register of your voice, they will lean in a little bit."
Right.
And I started and that relaxed my whole body.
Right.
And I felt like that helped me get to another level as a comic. I looked less afraid of the audience.
Right.
And
That's the nicest thing I've ever heard about David Feldman.
well, it's hard to give someone criticism about. It's hard to give someone criticism,
especially a guy giving a woman.
Yeah, and to tell someone to talk lower, a female. You know, it's but the reason he gave what made sense to me, and I started playing around with it,
right?
And it did help. You know,
awesome.
So, when did you get your first writing job?
With Tough Crowd, yeah. And
I remember you there. I remember you were writing. Yeah,
I was. I had just done the Cuba show and the Guantanamo Bay show,
right,
for Comedy Central.
Right,
Rick Newman put me on it.
Right,
so this is what I consider life changing.
Right,
it was Rick Newman put me on that one in Sue Costello in Jersey, and I think he reversed it before. So he's like, "You're going to go to Cuba," and I was like, "Oh wow."
There was one in Jersey and one in Cuba.
Yeah. So in Cuba, we're there for like 5 or 6 days, and we only have one show.
Right.
And so there's a lot of hanging out with Colin Quinn, who I'd never met, Nick DiPaolo, Greg Giraldo, Gaffigan, all those guys. And I felt like, oh my God, I'm kind of with the upper echelon of guy comics right now. And a lot of them have been doing comedy as long as me, but I was never considered an equal.
Right. I know. Gaffigan, remember, he bumped me. He comes in, he's like, can I go in it? And I'm like, you used to open for me. That's how I open my set. I go, I just want you to know Jim Gaffigan used to open for me. But yeah, I know.
So it was cool. So it was exciting to hang out with them. And then I heard about Colin's this pilot he's working on, and I was like, oh, that's neat. And then I started hearing about all the people that were writing for it, and he hired 1 million guy comics, and I assumed they were all better writers than me. And then one of them I heard about, who I was like, wait a minute, I know that guy's a shitty writer.
Right.
I've seen his act.
Right.
This guy's awful. So then I'm like, then it got to me. Oh, maybe there's room for me. If there's room for a bad male writer, there's got to be room for me.
A good
so I asked,
female.
So I asked him if I could submit, and he threw me on a pilot for a week, and I didn't. There was nothing to do. There was no writing whatsoever. I think he was just being nice. And then it got picked up, and I said, can I try again? And so I did another packet, and then I got hired. There's a couple of us that got hired.
So you did Tough Crowd,
right, for 2 years, for the 2 seasons it was on.
Such a fucking great show.
Yeah,
and then,
so short-sighted of them to cancel it. It was so cheap. You know?
Oh, I know.
And it was right before YouTube
and it
became dominant. It would have been the most clipped thing in the history of the world.
It still is.
Yes.
I mean, but it's also like everyone fucking copied that.
Oh, I know.
That format. Yeah,
it's like half the news shows are like that now.
Right.
You know?
It's like he really did create this, and it was so great because it was fearless comics.
Yes.
The Pioneer's Plight.
The Pioneer's Plight? What's that mean?
Yeah. The pioneer's plight.
Oh, like I see. Yes.
You're almost heading to voice probation.
Okay. Understood.
He goes on VP, voice probation. All right, so...
Well, it was also because Bill Maher had already done his show, so it was a little bit off of Bill Maher, but the fact that it was more about the comedians and their relationship with Colin, and not everyone coming with their memorized jokes about Iraq.
Right.
You know?
And it wasn't also, there were, the writers were not writing our stuff.
No, not at all. Yeah, you wrote stuff for perhaps the third act and stuff. But the half of it was like, I'm sure Voss showed up and Keith Robinson without ever once reading through the materials.
Right.
And they didn't have to, they're just going to beat themselves.
Right.
So it was also about Colin showcasing how willing they were to be dumb and not care about it.
Right. But it was the one that kept you on your toes the most was Giraldo.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because no one could get past that guy.
He's so smart, and he wrote a lot of stuff he could memorize very quickly, but he could also very quickly abandon it and just deal with you face to face, mano to mano. And everyone else that did memorize jokes, they were just like, I hope there's a place for me to insert my joke.
Right.
Giraldo was instantly willing to drop it and go right for your throat.
Right.
And then he could go back and pick it up. He could go back and forth.
I learned not to marry your jokes on that show.
Yes, for sure.
So what was it like? Here you are, the only woman. And that was a guy show.
Totally,
there were not a lot of women that were on that show.
Yeah.
What was it like being the only woman in the writer's room?
Well, it wasn't. Our room was it wasn't like a writer's room. Right. It was Ken Ober was the head writer, and Brian Tucker, and Ken Ober. Yes,
yeah,
the
Jewish,
best,
and nicest guy.
Yeah,
ever.
Nice guy, super funny. So And Christian Finnegan, and it wasn't like a writer's, sort of fucking pull your dick out
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah.
And so we sort of, it wasn't as, it was more intimidating just being in that company and feeling like I wasn't worthy. And it was my first writing job. And I'm like, they're going to
It's just like, you know, it's so amazing because women are always like, oh no,
I know.
I'm going to get, you know, found out. And guys are just like, I'm great. I'm fucking great.
There's
you
nothing
know?
to find out.
Yeah.
If you can say, okay, all women are doomed to have that response, then get it over with quickly.
Right.
You know, shoot for the moon when you're 20, and then you'll get used to feeling that way, and then you don't have to go through it in your 40s, 30s, and 40s. Get it over with soon.
So
and then be a confident badass for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Yes.
Now you, after Tough Crowd is over, what do you end up doing?
Then I got a job on the Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson.
Right.
And so I went out to LA for 9 months with that.
You still maintained and you still have your place in New York.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So you go to Craig Ferguson.
Yeah, and then
Here's the thing about doing the Craig Ferguson show.
Yeah.
Well, were you the only woman in that?
for a time, yeah. And then I left to do
And that-
Corolla. And
Right.
then that got canceled. It was a huge mistake to do that, but whatever.
So here's we need to discuss both of those people.
Okay.
Craig Ferguson, I did the show. I don't do well. I feel like I don't do well doing stand up on those shows because I'm not the 4-minute, you know, memorized every
Yeah, right.
fucking rehearsed second kind of comic. I'm
Right.
more of a storyteller. But I did the show, and what was annoying is he would tape the comics. I don't know if he did this with you, but with me, he had already done the show, and
I heard he wasn't even in the building.
he wasn't even in. You know, they would insert the comic.
Yeah.
He'd just leave.
Yeah.
And
And do your intro later or earlier.
right. And so he'd be like, all right, goodbye, everybody. Audience, please stay. We have, and they'd tape the comic and
That's
insert the
terrible.
comic in. And I was just like, ugh. So
It's like, well, I mean, he doesn't have a show anymore, but it seemed like he stopped wanting to have a show.
Right.
When you stop wanting to be part of the guests on your show,
Right.
that's a problem.
but it's also like, this is what I don't get. Like, I would die to have a show like that.
Yeah.
And I'd be so fucking happy with, you know,
I'd give
and
100%
grateful.
every day.
5,000%. Yeah. So you're moving to LA to be, and these people had already been writing for the show. So you're the new writer.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was. I liked the writers, and it just didn't feel like I wasn't good at writing monologue jokes yet,
Right.
You know, and he wasn't. Ferguson, he ended up not telling them. Like, he went to a storyteller format,
Right.
so he wasn't good at telling them,
Right.
So it wasn't.
So it wasn't like you had to write it. So what would you write for him? Bits?
Some sketch stuff, and
With
he was
that-
still figuring out what the show was.
Right. Did
But
he
I
have
wasn't
that
like,
stupid robot thing there?
No.
Okay.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
But I wasn't, you know, whatever I had done for Tough Crowd didn't
Right.
transfer
Yeah.
over. And I didn't have the confidence to go, well, I can learn this. Like, I still just wanted to be a stand-up past
Right.
at the Cellar.
Right.
That's half the reason I wanted to work on Tough Crowd was
Right.
that.
You wanted to work at the Cellar.
Yeah, and I wanted to just be part of that crew. And I
Right.
didn't want to all of a sudden become a writer that lived in LA and wrote jokes that I don't think are funny
Right.
for someone who doesn't like telling jokes.
That's what people don't get. It's
Yeah.
like you have to write in their voice, and it's so fucking hard to have to think in their fucking voice. All right.
Yes.
So then you move to Adam Carolla, who I don't dislike many people, but he was so nasty to me. I did.
What happened?
We did one of these Tough Crowd Stands Up or something for Comedy Central.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. Was
And
he on it?
It was, or maybe it was another thing for
Okay.
Comedy Central where we did stand up, and he was the host, and we were at rehearsal, and you know, we're doing the sound check and everything, and he's like, and our next performer is a female, if you can call her that, like some
Oh my God.
really, and then like some sort of Bigfoot thing that I
Right.
had to listen to every fucking day of my life when I was growing up.
Oh my God.
And I was just like, what a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And you have just a horrible, and has daughters.
Yeah, he has a daughter. I think he has twins.
Yeah. I just, all right. So you work at that show.
Mm-hmm.
I find, you know, to me, he's a pompous misogynist.
He was, you know, his writer's room had one guy and two women.
Right.
That's really uncommon.
Right.
And the other was Daily Hager, who's a super funny writer
Right.
that I've worked with later too. So I don't know. In his hiring, he was not.
See, that's the thing. It's like the Trump thing, where you're like, he's a fucking misogynist, and then like the head of his building thing was a woman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird. You know, the first day we got hired, the head writer said, "Well, he doesn't do written material, so I hope you have a screenplay to work on." And I was like, "Oh, well, I mean, because
wait, why were you there then?
well." We were told it was going to be a lot of dark. He wants to do a lot of dark stuff. And I felt like that was much more my wheelhouse than Craig Ferguson. But then when we got there, he, how shows, they start one way and all of a sudden the network goes, you guys aren't doing that anymore. You're doing this.
Right.
So I think very quickly it was like, you're not doing sketches. It's just Adam talking like he does on the radio, which was so compelling. And he's great at it.
Right.
But he doesn't want or need writers for that. And so, it was we kind of fucked around a lot, and it was fun. We had a lot of laughs.
So
but
how long?
We barely got anything
on the air. All right. So then, how long were you on that show?
I think that was a couple months, and then it got not picked up.
Okay. Then where'd you go?
Then I went back to New York.
Right.
And then I started working on The Search for America's Funniest Mom 2.
Right.
And I was like, why am I involved in television?
Right.
So, all I wanted to do was restart Tough Crowd. That's the only place I felt at home.
Right.
And, this making a comedy reality, it's so unfulfilling.
Oh, and it's so not reality.
And it's not funny. And it's just not, I'm like, anyone could do the job better than me at this. But I got it because I had these other credits.
Right. So you do that. What's your next writing job?
Then the Tundra. Then I was pregnant.
Right.
And
so now this was not planned.
Right. Correct.
And you had a boyfriend.
I had a boyfriend
who was a comic.
Yes.
And it was like what? He was my feature act. Right. That's good.
In San Antonio. It was every mistake I should give like a one-day seminar on love and sex for female comics.
That's great.
Nice. You don't have to do this, but here's my experience.
Yes.
Don't fuck your feature act.
Right. Did you love him?
I thought I did.
Did he love you?
I think we both thought we did. I think we got caught up in a lot of euphoria and lust. And then when that settles a little bit, it's like, despite comedy, we really have nothing in common. But he'd already moved all the way out here and was living with me. So it was like, well, let's try to recapture the first 3 days.
Did he try to get like work from you?
No, I made it super clear that I wasn't going to help, which is dumb because I saw a lot of guys helping their girlfriends get on various shows, and I'm like, but I felt like I don't know, I just didn't think that was right,
So you get pregnant.
Yeah.
When do you realize you're pregnant? What's your response? What's his response?
I think I was 40 and I had. Did you remember that book by this woman named Sylvia Hewlett? Basically, it was like, if you haven't had a kid by the time you're 40, you're never going to have a kid, and women are waiting too long. And it was like this was warning.
Right.
You're waiting too long.
Right.
So that's when I got pregnant because I was like, oh, well, then it's probably not going to happen to me, so I don't have to worry about condoms that much.
Right. That's what I said.
And then, so I figured I'd have a miscarriage. So just sort of.
Will you find out how do you find out you're pregnant?
I just missed a few periods, 1 or 2, and I take that little test.
You're having no emotion about this right now.
No, because I was like, wow, am I pregnant? This is strange.
You're so not Jewish. Oh my god, I missed my period. Okay, so then
honestly, I thought I was gonna lose it until like the 6th month.
Okay,
so
you're pregnant and you're walking around going, oh, this is just temporary.
Yes, and I'm making jokes about it, and I'm making jokes about trying to miscarry it and rent, the whole thing.
I hope that your kid gets to see those jokes.
Oh, me too. I have them all.
All right, good.
I have all my VHS tapes from the comic strip at that time.
Perfect. Okay, so you don't miscarry.
No.
And what do you tell your parents?
I just told them, hey, I'm pregnant. And they were excited. My sister was also pregnant.
Right.
So that was their first grandchildren at very late ages.
Right.
So they were super excited.
There's like so non-Jewy here. What do you mean you're pregnant? All right. So you have the baby.
Yeah. And he's 10 and a half now.
No, but what happens to your relationship?
Well, then I guess, after I did all my detective work, I determined that my ex started cheating on me when my son was about 6 months old, and with somebody in Texas. And so, and he had a son from a previous marriage in Texas. So he would go back to see his son, but then he would also see this lady.
Fuck
Yeah.
him. Does he see your son now?
Yeah. Yeah. He lives in California, and so he gets them every weekend.
Fuck him. So
he's a good dad. He's a terrible boyfriend.
okay. God, you're so fucking like practical and nice. All right.
I went through severe rage, and I spent a lot of time being very angry and bitter, and spent a lot of I spent a lot of money checking records and checking phone records and building like a timeline as if we were going to court, when it all started, and when when you
confronted him.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, he went to work. He was working as a karate instructor, and we were living in Venice. He just brought my son out.
Yeah.
So the three of us were in Venice, and he'd just been really rude, and it never occurred to me he'd been cheating all these years, because he kept saying how much he loved me, and it was all my fault, and he thought I was cheating and all this.
Oh, fuck him.
Oh, yes, all this. I'm like, I was gaslit so.
Because it was so projecting.
Yes.
Like fucking Trump.
Totally. Yes. So then I just, and his email was accessible. I just looked, I started rooting around in the inbox, couple down. There's a bunch of emails from this lady, and I just start reading them, and I'm like, oh my God. And so I remember that the first thing I did was called my credit cards and took him off. He was on all my credit cards.
Smart.
Wow.
And then he called, because after karate class, he was stopping by the grocery store, and he's like, the card doesn't work. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. And then he came home, and we went for a walk, and I said, I know about her. And
did he deny it?
No. Nope.
See, my ex denied it. No, I didn't know that. I'm like, well, I heard.
Did you have proof?
Yes, I had phone messages. Ugh. And you know what she says to me? Why were you listening to my phone messages? I'm like, okay, great. That solves the problem. Yeah, I'm the asshole.
Wow.
Okay, so because I was calling and calling and calling, and there was no answer, but there was that thing on the cell phone where you can tell someone's on the other line.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was like ringing, no answer. Finally, I got voicemail for the 10th time, and I had a spot. So I was like, I had the kids. I was like, when the fuck are you,
Right.
And I got into the voicemail, and instead of leaving a voicemail, I checked the voicemail.
Wow, you knew.
So you were able to check her voicemail?
Yeah.
Whoa. Did she know that? Did she know that you knew her code?
Of course.
That's weird. That's
no,
weird.
I always
that
knew.
They don't even.
It was
try
2004.
I know.
No, they're just like, it's like you're so stupid. Like if I was cheating, which I never would, like you don't they do things on purpose to get caught. All right. Anyway,
I believe that. I believe that's true.
So you now work at Conan.
Yeah.
Is Mike Sweeney still there?
He is, yes.
And what does he do?
He's like, he was the head writer, and then because Conan does these travel shows now, it became too much of a job. So he took over the travel shows. So he's sort of like off the day-to-day stuff. I think he likes it. It's a lot less pressure.
Right.
I
loved Mike.
Matt O'Brien's the head writer, in charge of sketches and mono, and Sweeney does the travel shows and all the remotes, which Conan's so great at. So.
Well, Sweeney was the best MC.
Oh my God,
him.
so funny.
Will you say hi to him for me?
For sure. Oh,
I love that guy. How does he look? Same with white hair?
Yeah, I think so. Exactly.
And
the same.
Kids and wife.
His wife wrote this book called The Nest. Did you hear about it? It was a bestseller last couple months ago, and Jill Soloway is optioned it for Amazon. They're going to make it into a movie. It's a really good book. Check it out. It's called The Nest. And her name is Cynthia Dupree Sweeney.
Okay.
And they have 2 kids, and they're both at college right now. So yeah.
Yeah. I love Mike Sweeney.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are there, and there's 2 other female writers there.
Yes, yeah. Jessie Gaskell is a sketch writer, and then Leah Krinsky is the other monologue writer.
And, I love. Well, say hi, please, for me.
Sure. Yeah.
And how many guy writers are there?
There's 2 other on the mono team, so the mono team split, and then two men, 2 women, and then sketch. I think there might be 8 guys.
Do you feel like this is a dream job for a female writer?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know for a female writer, for a comedy writer,
it's a dream, period.
Writer.
But I mean, like, he seems like
he's a great guy. He's funny. It's nice to, because you are sacrificing a part of your comedy life for this person, and it's nice when you think they're funny.
Right. But also, I remember the day he started.
Oh, yeah.
And that he had never done stand-up.
Yeah.
And how people were really resentful.
Yeah. I remember that, too.
Yeah. And
comics that thought they should have gotten it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it was like, well, he did a good job.
Yeah.
You know?
And he's a different type of comedy thinker. And he's brilliant.
Yeah, he's very smart.
Yeah.
But how do you... when he got sort of, quote-unquote, demoted to a cable network, how do you think that affected...
I don't know, because I didn't know him before that.
Right.
I started at TBS.
Right.
And when I started, everyone was like really excited.
Yeah.
You know, they got free reign in a way that, and from what I've been told by the other writers that worked on The Tonight Show, it was really stressful on The Tonight Show. You have NBC down your throat.
Yeah. I'd rather...
And I'm sure even when ratings are great or things are great, but when the trajectory was like, oh, you know, what's happening with the show, the ratings aren't that good, then you just have more executives piling in with their opinion and that pressure, and it's not fun.
Right.
Well, they have no idea what's going on. Like,
they all want to justify their job.
Yes.
Like, you need to be doing this.
It's just like you get.
Go fuck
look
yourself.
At Colbert took a year to kind of settle, and now with
I'm on
Trump,
Colbert again tonight.
Yeah. Oh, they're rerunning it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But we're not. We're way weeks. This is not airing.
Okay.
All right, whatever. Fuck it.
Welcome to Play It, a new podcast network featuring radio and TV personalities talking business, sports, tech, entertainment, and more. Play it at play.it.
So you now have an amazing life. You are a writer. I mean, your father's dead. You did an amazing special about your father on
thank you.
CISO. So original. Just great.
Thanks.
And your social media-ing his death was, for some reason, was so not hacky and so not, I'm going to use this to, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was so, it was great. It
thanks,
was great.
man. Yes.
And it was really honest, and it's just the fact that you deal with these topics, which is what great comics do. Yeah. The only bad thing about your special is that you have Andy Kindler and Patton Oswalt and no women talking about you.
You're right. Well,
okay.
Sheryl was on.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Do you know her?
No.
She's a writer. She's a great writer.
Okay.
She used to be a stand-up, and we met doing The Road, and now she's on The Real O'Neills right now. But she's, you would love her. You guys would be great friends.
Okay.
I'm sorry that you don't know her.
Okay.
And I'm sorry you're taking this attitude.
Put her in her place, Laurie.
Motherfucker, Judy, you fuck. All right. So,
stand in the corner.
You wrote Shitty Mom, another thing I'm jealous of. Great book. But did you write with Jessica Seinfeld? Was part of it? Or no?
She was friends with the other women
What
that
is
were
this?
co-authors.
Oh.
Yeah, and so she gave them a pull quote in the back.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
You don't want to. What do you need a pull quote from Jessica Seinfeld?
Who knows? I guess.
Laurie's special, by the way, is called 45 Jokes about my
Dead dad.
My dead dad.
And it's on CISO.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. It's like a mini documentary documenting your father's journey.
And what a great thing to have and to memorialize your father.
And so
That's what
funny.
that's what I love. Like my son will that'll probably be his interaction with his grandpa. I won't remember too much.
Right.
But the idea to put the other footage in was Chris Italia and Frank and those guys at the stand.
It's great.
Yeah.
I have been begging. My manager's begging them to give me a special. I haven't done a special in 10 years.
Wow.
I have so much fucking material.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you shoot it yourself first and then sell it, or are you trying to get them to someone else to pay for it? It seems like a lot. I mean, that's how I did it. I shot the stand up myself, couldn't sell it, and then Chris and Frank and those guys brought in, changed it a little bit with the documentary.
Smart.
Yes, and then they sold it to CISO.
Oh, that's a great idea.
So I mean, you might have
Janine. What happened? How did she get hers?
I don't know. I'm not sure. She's Janine.
Right. So, okay. So you are a best-selling author
for 1 week. Yeah.
Why do you do that? Guys don't do that.
I know.
Guys don't do
sorry.
that. You're doing the same thing you were talking about.
All right.
You know, every other guy be like, hey, that's on the bestseller. And that's how you should fucking be. You should be fucking proud. I wrote a book. It was never on the bestseller list.
You won 2 Emmys.
Oh, please.
All right, there you go. You sound the same.
You just did it.
Oh, but
Ridiculous.
it was for Rosie.
It doesn't count, eh?
It was daytime.
But
All
it was
right.
for Rosie.
Oh, it's daytime. That's not competitive at all.
I know. I'm just being an asshole. I just did it. Okay. So, you were a best-selling author. You have another book coming out.
Yeah.
You have a special. Do you have a job? You have a kid. Your mother lives with you. The mother living with you must be fucking awful.
I have no privacy. Like, my son sleeps in my bed.
Right.
I have
Very Jewish.
I don't have any privacy.
Yeah. It's so when you go on the road,
that's when I'm alone.
I know. That's what I feel like. And I'm fine for like 2 days, and then I miss my kids.
I can go longer.
Do you talk to him every day?
Here's what happened. Last night I tried my first edible, which I would never do if I had my son, but I don't. He's not
You've
with me
never
this
had
week.
an edible?
No.
Oh, no
I
wonder.
still feel it.
Yes.
But last night
Do you smoke pot?
No.
Oh, well, that's why you still feel it.
Yes, I fell asleep as soon as I got home from my spot, which I can't believe I did.
Okay.
And so I missed his phone call, but I'll be.
Did you feel guilty?
Yes.
Well,
Like how guilty?
Little.
So, because I would be like, oh my God, I missed his phone call. I'm the worst. Like, that's how bad I am. All right.
Well, he doesn't have his own phone. It's through grandma. So.
Right.
no one would be able to tell that you still feel the brownie.
Good. I'm glad.
Was it a brown? It wasn't a brownie.
It was a Tootsie Roll.
Oh, nice.
And it just seemed so adorable. And I was like, this has got to be like having a glass of wine.
Right.
And it was so much more than that.
Laurie, we ask our guests the 2 questions, every one of them. I'm going to say absolutely not for the answer for the first one. What do you think?
I'd say yes.
Really?
For the
yes and no one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I'll say yes.
Okay.
Okay. Are you on any antidepressants, or have you ever been on antidepressants?
I'm not. No. I tried something once in my early 20s, and I took it like 3 times.
Okay.
You win.
You win. All right.
Therapy?
Yes, I haven't been in a while. It's been about 6 months since I've been.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
I knew it.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, whatever. But yeah.
I was diagnosed as like mildly depressed. And I just felt like that's just a personality,
right?
You know, and I don't need to medicate that. And I'm not dysfunctional. I can totally function. And maybe this is just my outlook on the world, and that's okay.
Yeah,
and am I wrong?
Look, if you're if you're negative, as I just went through this in therapy, if you're negative, it's sort of a defense mechanism of being disappointed. You know,
probably,
like so you're never disappointed because you're like, well, duh.
Yeah.
But
it's
you
also
can't
how
enjoy
comes are going to view things, and it makes your comedy.
I know.
Different.
I was afraid
to
go on them because I thought, but now I'm.
Yeah. I mean, if it helps you just get to be able to do all the stuff you want to do, then it's great.
Even though I've lost my mother's earring. All right, now the what makes you really pissed off, like rage pissed off, like fucking. Yeah.
Oh, rich kids.
Nice, good one.
Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner,
right?
All the Trump kids, even Chelsea Clinton.
Yeah,
all of a sudden on the board of Expedia. It's like, what the fuck,
right?
And all the kids who, can't intern at places where you get a lot of experience,
right?
Working at a studio or something,
right.
because they can't afford to work for free for 8 hours a day because they have to pay for their college, or they go to community college.
Right.
And so it seems like there's a system of rich kids get to have all the experiences, they get to meet all the right people and network, in addition to having the confidence that comes from being born in a certain place.
Right.
And kids that are don't have any of those things.
Right.
Like, it's hard to even dream it if you haven't visited it or seen it up close or know how it works,
right.
So that enrages me.
Who's the one you hate the most?
Right now, I guess I would say I hate Ivanka the most.
Yeah!
Yeah.
Because you know why I can't stand them? Because we thought they were going to be the voice of reason. We thought
the kids.
No, people.
Oh, I see.
That's how some people wrote off their vote for Trump. Is he doesn't mean it? Ivanka's gonna tone him down.
And a lot of the Jews were like, "Well, Ivanka converted, and Jared's Jewish, so it'll be fine."
Really?
Oh yeah.
God.
But she's so fucking out of touch.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I loved Clinton, because he was a single mother, alcoholic father.
Himself, yes. He knew what it was like to grow up poor and to grow up seeing that kind of violence.
Right.
It's really takes a toll on the psyche.
Barry Obama.
Yes.
Real circumstances.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So would you venture to say that even beyond the rich kids, it's the rich kids' parents?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But there are some rich people who don't raise their kids like that.
Correct.
Like
you
Anderson
probably
Cooper.
don't know they're rich, though.
Anderson
you can't point them out.
Cooper is Anderson Cooper.
Well, Anderson Cooper is a queer also, and so I just feel like
but there's so many
you have
queers.
to go through so much to get a kid.
No.
You really need to want
he
one.
really does not want. He's not getting any money. He works fucking hard. Yeah.
I agree. Did you watch the documentary he made about Gloria?
Yes. His wife, mother,
his baby mama.
Yeah.
So amazing.
Yeah.
So cute.
And just the her life, she's still alive, what she saw.
I know. And how she was treated.
What she saw historically.
Yeah.
The century turn, and she was part of the Gilded Age, the last vestiges to what it is now. And seeing your son go out a window. I'm like, I can't.
Once you're a parent,
that's too much life to have.
Everything changes.
God damn.
Even like that whatchamacallit song. If the Eric Clapton song.
Oh my God, Tears in Heaven.
Yeah, that had so much more meaning after I had a child.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. Speaking of really positive stuff, thank you, Laurie Kilmartin.
Man.
You fucking rock. Laurie is on Facebook like everyone else, but she's on Tweetar. Follow her tweets. They're fucking brilliant.
The Jackie and Laurie Show.
The Jackie and Laurie Show, yes.
Oh, my good friend Jackie Cation.
Yeah.
Has she been on your podcast?
No, we got to get her on.
You guys would be
I need
fast
her on.
Friends. Yeah.
We tried to get all you guys.
Do you come out to LA?
Yeah, when I have work.
Yeah.
But yes, absolutely.
Cool.
Laurie, I can't thank you enough.
Thank you, Judy.
No, thank you. You are the best.
You are the best.
Keep it fucking coming, bitch.
I'm thrilled we're colleagues and we're still in show business.
I know.
And we're not quitting and we're not letting them run us out. Fuck them. We're still here.
All.
And we're funnier than most of you guys.
Yeah, that's true. I like that. Woo! All right.
Honored to be here.
Thank you all for listening. And as we always say, so long!
And everything was wonderful. I'll see you soon. Thank you for the visit. So long.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.